Sports Fix.
It's always something. Just as we're getting on the air, something had to go haywire, but it quickly was rectified, and we are doing the thing, man. Back from a long weekend, holiday weekend. We're back at it here, and boy, did we pick a right time to come back. A lot of things to talk about today, get into. Cavaliers sitting here on the verge of a sweep of the Atlanta Hawks and heading back to the NBA Finals. We'll talk about that here. We're going to talk about that a ton. I've got phones ringing already, so we're going to talk to you guys. We've got Indians, matching 6-game winning streaks, as you can hear from my voice. It's been a long weekend for me as well here. Both teams said, hey, what you can do, I can do better, of course. The Indians had that come to an end yesterday, but we're going to talk Tribe. We're going to talk Cavs, NBA playoffs. Boy, Steph Curry, what a fall he took last night. We've got all of that coming your way. We'll talk about all of it. We're going to open up the phones, get into it with you, do the Sports Fix thing as we launch another week here. Let's do it. Are you guys ready? I know you're ready because you're here. I'm here. Let's go off with today's edition of the Sports Fix. Welcome in across the Sports Fix Radio Network, you guys. I'm your host, the Big Daddy on the microphone, J-Rocc, Jerry Myers. Call me all of the above, and happy to be here and glad that you guys are with me here. Chose to start your Tuesday with us here and get your fix across the Sports Fix Radio Network. Maybe you're listening on TuneIn, TuneIn's radio app, TuneIn.com. They're digital and mobile apps worldwide. Maybe you're enjoying the show on Spreaker and Mixler.com or their respective digital and mobile applications. Perhaps you're enjoying us, as I say all the time, right on our home base, thesportsfix.net. If you're not, hey, make sure you bookmark it. It's a great place. It's a backup feed to get the show live. Great place to get all your information. Our social media widgets are built right into the page, all of that stuff. Make sure you bookmark it and check it out, thesportsfix.net. As well, thank you to all of you, the thousands around the world. We say it all the time, who enjoy the show on digital delay 24 hours a day, all over the place, on iHeartRadio, the world's largest internet radio network, on iTunes, on Stitcher Radio, on SoundCloud, CarPlay, all the places you guys do the thing, podcast, feed, subscribe, download, whatever. Thank you guys so much for getting your fix, and do that as I see some of you, as I mentioned, phones already ringing. We're going to go with the phones today. 216-539-7535, the number to call. 216-539-7535. Can't get through? Maybe you're one of the many who use your phone to listen to the show. Then hit us up across our social media, Facebook and Twitter, facebook.com/thesportsfix. Tweet with us at The Sports Fix CLE. Email us, thesportsfix@AOL.com. And not only that, but hey, matter of fact, in this opening segment here, I'm going to pause the phone calls momentarily. Actually, I just got done to talking back and forth. We were going to say goodbye to my man, Dr. Football, but due to some appointment changing by him, we're going to have to switch that over to Thursday, which is good because that way we can open up a segment there for that, and we can stick right to the topic at hand here. Like I said, you guys get in with us on the conversations. Facebook, Twitter, phone lines, all open. Facebook.com/thesportsfix. Tweet with me at thesportsfixcle. Email us, thesportsfix@AOL.com. Guys, let's roll on. Before I go to the phones, let's talk a little bit about the weekend. And of course, yesterday we took the day off, as many people did. Enjoyed the holiday. What a beautiful weekend it was here. Hopefully it was the same where you guys are at, but Memorial Day weekend. And, again, just a quick thanks to the people that aren't listening to this, people that can't hear this, the reason that we had that day off and that we had the holiday weekend here, Memorial Day. Remember those that did the ultimate sacrifice so that we could do this thing, so that I could go out here and do this every day, so that you guys can listen to us and have the freedoms to do what we do. And always keep that in mind, the ones that gave the most, so that we can sit here and enjoy what we do each and every day. And we did get to enjoy it this weekend. As I segue over, how do you guys over there in the Mixler chat room, by the way? I see you guys chatting it up. And what a weekend it was. As I said, matching 6-game winning streaks by the Indians and the Cavaliers over the weekend here. And boy, I don't even know which way to start. I guess we'll start with the Cavs, seeing as they have the opportunity tonight to finish this thing off. And it's kind of fitting. I wanted to say what I said there about Memorial Day and segue into this because it's the perfect segue of remembering the difference between the real life people who gave their lives and the cliches that I'm sure you're going to hear me throw one or two of them out here as we talk about the battle and what was given on the basketball court the other day when you talk about. And then I've got to say, same thing everybody else is saying at this point, but since we've been off between games 1 and today, I'm going to start off by talking about, to me, what was just the culmination. And I know there's still work to be done for the Cavaliers. So I want to be careful how I say that when I say culmination of something. But when you look at the visage of what you saw at the end of Game 3 of the Eastern Conference Finals, I mean, to me, I did mentally a full circle back to the final game, Game 6 against the Boston Celtics, 2010, and the end of LeBron Part 1 when it came to the Cleveland Cavaliers, and the narrative that we all have known about, talked about, spoke about over the years, whether it was not giving your best effort, whether it was quitting, whether it was walking off, whatever word you want to use to describe the way things ended and not finishing, not seeing things through, all of that stuff, and then you come all the way around, and we've talked, and I'm far from the only one, by the way, that has talked about the maturity of the LeBron James that you're seeing here this time around, even from the time in Miami, what we've seen. And we've seen it in words. We've seen it in press conferences. We've seen it in the way he's, put over his teammates and built some camaraderie along the way, and how this team has bandied together different ways, little ways that you see leadership that you didn't see before. But man, go to as I say, the visage of the end as the final buzzer in that overtime victory goes off, and you watch a man drop. And hey, I'm the first one to tell you that he definitely can overdo the dramatics from time to time on some of those foul calls and that. But this was a moment of reality, of pure physical and mental exhaustion, and you just saw it right there. And whether it was waving off, coming off. I mean, seriously, you talk about Willis Reed moments, and I don't want to put it in that structure, but I'll put it up there with the best individual playoff performances in Cavaliers history. I mean, that was right up there from starting the game 0 for the world. I mean, it was 0 for the first 10 shots or whatnot, and I believe it's like 1 for 13 or something. It was definitely a poor start to things. But to saying I gotta come out, and then no, I gotta stay in. I mean, so many visuals you can take out of what you saw there, and man, it just all spoke to an unbelievable, not just individual effort, but it engulfed into an entire team effort, which is what we've seen our Cavaliers do every step of the way through the playoffs. They've reinvented themselves along the way. Whatever is needed to win today is what this team goes out and does. When they need somebody to put them on their back, LeBron does it, but he doesn't have to do it every single game, and it makes those games, like the other day, stand out even more. I mean, the Cavaliers, what else can be said about that performance there? And that's why also I wanted to say there's a difference between the cliches that we use in sports and real life, because there it was. I mean, that was a battle of attrition. It was all left on the field and laying there at the end exhausted. LeBron, you could hear it in his voice as he spoke in the post, not just the press conference, but immediately on the floor after the game. Just a pure exhausted human being there, and rightfully so. It took everything the Cavs had. You knew that Game 3, and we weren't on the air, so we didn't get to preview it, but you knew Game 3 You knew that was going to be the best shot coming from the Atlanta Hawks because they knew their backs were against the wall. You were going to get it all, and you did. They fought back. You had them buried, and then they come back, and then they had you, and with 40 seconds to go or whatnot, last 5 points of the game closed out by LeBron. Couple of big defensive series. Tristan Thompson, not too much can be said about what he has done, what Dellavedova's done, what Shumpert's done, what J.R. Smith, all of that. And we'll get into the ins and outs, the Delly stuff, the controversy. I can't believe some of those idiots on the national TV are saying some of the dumb things that they're saying about Delly. How do you call a cat a dirty player? You don't like him because he hustles, man. That's all there is to it. Get out of here with that noise. But I wanted to start off just talking about what I thought was the full circle from the last image that we saw of LeBron James prior to leaving Cleveland, and full circle it now to where what we saw, the last image we saw on the floor for the Cavaliers. And that says it all, and it speaks to why this Cavs team is going to bring Cleveland its first championship in 51 years. It's coming. We are 5 victories away. Can they get the 5th one tonight and make it 4? We're going to find out, and we're going to preview it. 5 victories away, and I'm telling you, it does not matter to me what anybody thinks about Steph Curry, about the Golden State Warriors. There is no team that can beat this Cavaliers team in a 7-game series. They will rise to the challenge, and we are weeks away. June 4th, the finals begin. We are 2 weeks away, 2.5 weeks tops, from that parade coming down Euclid for real, baby. And you can feel it, and you can see it. It grows in confidence with each game. I laugh now. We talked heading into this series. I said so many people trying to cover their bets, trying to pick the Cavs in 7 or 6 or Atlanta in 7. I said, man, from week 1 of the playoffs, what did I say, you guys? And I'm not the only one, but I was riding the train of Atlanta. Does not scare me. They don't match up to the Cavaliers. At the end of the day, there were several differences that have shown and borne themselves out. And what you see with the Hawks every game, they get more frustrated. They're a team that cannot figure out why they aren't playing like they did in the regular season. And you could look at their coach in his post game the other day. He had the mindset of a defeated coach, and he just laid it out there. It's not just us. We're not just missing our shots. It's not us. We're playing a damn good team over there, and they're taking us out of our game. I laughed at Bazemore after game 2. They got smacked around at home, and he said, I think we're still the better team. No, you did not. You may have publicly said that, but no, you did not. Although, hey, they came out with one hell. That was a fight. That was a champion's fight that Atlanta put out there when it came to game 3, but too little too late. And now, can the Cavs wrap this thing up? And hey, by the way, they've done it without Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love, which again just rises the factor of things up another level. I'll keep going in a minute, but I'm tired of hearing my voice. Let's hear yours. Caller, you're first up on the Sports Fix.
Big Daddy.
Hey, what's happening?
Big buddy.
What's up, Bob? Bob from Connecticut. How you doing?
It must have been smoking in Cleveland, man, huh, Memorial Day?
I'll tell you what, man, it was all weekend long. Cavs, the Indians sweeping the Reds, and of course, the streak comes to an end, but put themselves right back into a positive conversation. You can see the pitching and a little bit of the offense coming together. Yesterday, what a kick in the tail. Something about these Rangers and Indians games here. They're just some crazy games going on. But
absolutely.
Anyways, how about them Cavaliers, though? Seriously.
Oh, my word, man. Oh, my word. Mr. LeBron is vindicating himself. I mean, he's coming back, and he's going to win you guys a championship.
But it's not just that.
The championship, baby.
It's not just that. It's the way it's all happening. It's the way.
Oh, yeah, he's taking over. He's taking over.
But he's not just putting a team on his back. He's emboldening the team to put themselves on each other's back. It's hard to explain. Like, people use the phrase with LeBron James, he raises all the other boats in the water. And that is true. He's the tide that raises all boats. and you can see it. This team has the utmost belief. That's what I think is going to be the most amazing part of a series between the Warriors and the Cavaliers, is that each team has an incredible belief in themselves as a team, and they each believe. Hell, look at the Warriors last night. They were down 30-plus points. They were getting run out of the building. They came back, and they put a scare. They put a scare back in the Rockets. I was watching it, and I said, wow, this would just be an epic collapse right here, because I think at one point when Curry came back, they got the momentum from Curry, and whoa, what a fall that he took last night. That was one of the scariest things I've ever seen in the NBA. He took a fall from about 12 feet up in the air, but when he came back in, I believe the Warriors got it within 6 or 4. They were right there before Houston and Harden had one last run and put it away.
Right, they're not going to.
They're not going to win 4 straight. But at this point, the best case is for the Cavs to get this thing over with. Who cares what happens on the other side? How long that goes? Either way, the finals begin June 4th. So the Cavs, to me, it is in your best interest to go out there and wrap this thing, which I fully expect them to do. I think Atlanta's an absolute beaten team now at this point. They've given their best effort at home. They've given their best effort on the road, and they're done. They're toast. And I think the Cavs will now have, a week and a half to rest up after this, and so that's a good thing. LeBron James is the walking wounded right now. Obviously, Kyrie Irving. Shumpert has a still very tender groin that he hasn't had a chance to rest. And the Warriors, as we saw with Curry last night, they're banged up too. These are the two best teams in the NBA, and you want them to rest up and be at full strength. And plus, man, that would be 10 days of build-up. This will be one of the most hyped NBA finals in history here, assuming, of course, that both teams finish their business.
Yes, and I think that's what's going to happen. And, speaking of the Cavs with the 51 years, it's been a long time in Golden State. 67, 68, when Nate Thurman and Jeff Mullins, and who else do we got out there? Nate Thurman and Rick Barry.
That wasn't Golden State, though. That was they were the San Francisco Warriors, right? They were, they were, right. Yeah. That was the first incarnation before they moved.
It's going to be exciting, and I'll tell you, with Irving and Love and Varicelle on the bench, you guys have really, really turned it up. Those Cavs have really, really turned it up. Kudos
as
to
a
them.
Team. As a team, brother, that's the thing about it.
That's what this sport is. This is a team. This is a team sport. And when you have a player like LeBron, like you had stated, he's got to uplift all those other cats on the bench that are coming into play, and he seems to be doing that very well.
The assists
seems to be doing that very well for the city and for the state of Ohio, which I couldn't be happier for.
I got to tell you, man.
For you guys.
It all sounds cliche, but when this one's said and done, if the Cavaliers are holding the jewelry that I think they're going to have, it really was earned. Nothing was given to these guys. Matter of fact, it was taken away, and they kept fighting back. I'm telling you, I know LeBron says, I'll never be an underdog, and I get that. And I know that he's and that's true to a point. But these Cavs, these Cavs are a plucky team, Bob. They're an I know they're not an underdog, but they are in a sense to me because of the adversity that they've overcome to get to where they're at, and hopefully where they're going to finish.
Absolutely. And I got to get on with my young Indians, man. I told you Memorial Day, that young Indian pitching staff and that team will all find itself and come together, and that's what we are going to do.
For sure.
We are going to do that.
We got the first look, by the way, speaking of the other side of that, the catching of Gomi back out there, Jan Gomes, and he feels good after going 9 innings and catching, so working in that direction.
No rush for him.
But what a weekend it was.
Terry, if you're listening.
Absolutely.
Need to rush Yanni back. You know what I mean? Let him work 5-6 innings a few times behind the plate and then get Perez or whatever back there. But, hey, we're on our way. Like I told you, I love where we're at.
Absolutely.
Love where we're
Look at that Red Series, man. There was some great pitching. Again, that run of starting pitching continued. Obviously, you're gonna have. Hey, I'll deal with if I can get 1, 2, 3, and 4 to give me what they've been giving me. And then if I got to deal with an up and down fifth spot, that's fine, because you're talking about the fifth spot in the rotation. As long as the innings are there. What I mean is if I'm going to get, like Markham, you get a good performance and then you get, beat up a little bit by a team, and it appears clearly that Texas, it makes you wonder how their record is what it is, because they have the ability offensively to get hot quickly and put runs on the board. At least when they play the Indians, these have been some crazy games between these two teams so far. I mean, look at that one yesterday. You end up with a shootout, 7-7. Indians get themselves ahead. Looks like, okay, they're going to be able to pull this one out.
Yeah, I shut the damn game off after it was 8-7. I figure we had it.
What a way to throw it away. Man. Literally throw it away. McAllister throws the ball over the head, and the Indians choke up. And you hate to end a 6-game winning streak and go, oh, man. But that play threw me back to the depths of April and going, man. And that's what you worry about, is that even when the Indians do get hot and get going, that's always going to rear its head, is that tendency to defensively not be a great team. Mike Brandenburg somewhere is smiling, going, yeah, see, I told you. But still, you got to... You got to like what you saw, and they're in a position here. They're within 4 games of 500 again. They haven't been this close in a while. They've got a chance to finish up a good week and a good homestand here with a couple more against Texas, and you can get yourself creeping up. We were looking at June 1st, we said, hey, if you get Gomes back and you get to 500 by June 1st, let's start over again with the summer. And you know what? The other thing is not only are they reaching that point, but a few of us were talking last week, the attendance, to get a good crowd this weekend and have good games and win and stay hot, because one thing the Indians have done is occasionally they lay an egg when they have the big crowd, and that's been a thing where they do get the crowds and then they don't have a good game and people go, I'm not going back for 3 more months. This weekend they had some good weather and some great games, and they wrapped up a 6-game winning streak on a holiday weekend. I think that'll pay dividends in getting some people to maybe give a clean slate to the Indians and give them a chance to at least reprove themselves to people. If they continue to stay hot, people will start to buy back in. But if they go cold again, then people will say, it was just a little weekend blip. But they've put themselves in position to be relevant again for the summer.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Big Bob, anything else?
No, that's it, brother. I'll let you get to some other callers. And listen, you're the greatest, baby.
From your lips, man. I appreciate the compliment. Thank you, Big Bob. 216-539-7535 is the number to call. 216-539-7535 is the number to call. Matter of fact, we're going to take some more calls. Let's take a break here. Facebook.com/thesportsfix. Tweet with us at the Sports Fix CLE. Bruce in the chat room going back to what we were talking about earlier with Dellavedova. You know what? I'm going to save that till the next segment, though, because that's a trip. He's got some quotes here from Reggie Miller, and I was listening to all of those guys, all of those different national guys. It was so funny because I got to get to the break, but I'll just throw this out here. Right after Game 3, the TNT panel with Chuck and those guys, everybody's blasting Dellavedova and blatantly calling him a dirty player. And I know a little bit about how these post-game shows work by being in this line of work myself, and I know that you've got earpieces and producers are talking to you in your ears as you're talking on the air and stuff, and they're slamming Delly, all of them, and you can see people, you can look in people's faces and tell when they're listening in their earpiece to some instructions that are coming in. And clearly somebody caught on really quickly that they were all going in this direction and that they were not doing it in a way that was an open conversation. And Charles Barkley, he caught on real quick and changed, because if you were to go back to the DVR or the post game right now, at first Chuck was right there with everybody else. After about 1 minute of listening to everybody, Chuck changes immediately. And I know it's because in the ear, one of the producers said because you have to balance a conversation. You have to have both sides of a conversation. And instantly, Chuck comes in and goes, well, you know what? It wasn't a dirty play. But listening to these quotes where they're talking out of both sides of their mouth, where they're like, well, I'm not saying he's a dirty player. He just falls into people's knees. And, well, I'm not saying he's dirty. And that's your way of going, well, I'm not saying it, but you can go ahead and infer that from what I'm saying. And all these, well, he's reckless and he's Let me tell you something. If Matthew Dellavedova didn't play the way he did, he wouldn't have a spot in the NBA, you know? So get out of here. I hate to say it. I've had this conversation with some of you guys on social media over the weekend. There are racial undertones to some of that, to some of the people's opinions of that. You know, hey, I'll say it, man. I mean, little white guy out there, man, he's hustling and aggravating the hell out of people. But I watched these commentators call him dirty for a play where he was pulled down to the floor backwards, looking completely away from the player that he fell into. And people were trying to say, and the best was Kenny Smith, trying to say it's dirty. Kenny Smith goes, well, if I looked at that play by itself, I wouldn't say it. But then I looked at the other play, and when you add the three of them together, then you start to scratch your head and wonder. No, you don't. No, you don't, because that's just so... He's literally yanked down into the guy's knee. We're going to talk about this after the break. We'll get into it, but it's nuts. And then the cat comes down with an elbow to and the best part was the other side of the argument when they were talking about Horford's elbow and how the panel was trying to excuse it by saying, well, he pulled up. He really could have smashed him in the face. And the fact that he didn't means that he should have only got a flagrant one. And I'm like, get out of here. If I swing a punch at a player on the court, that's an instant ejection. Or is the fact that I didn't hit him, the fact that I pulled up and missed the punch, does that mean I should only get a flagrant one? Hell no. You threw a punch with the intention of hitting it, man. But they tried to excuse Horford's elbow because instead of smashing Delly's face, he pulled up and hit him in the shoulder instead, and then drove his head into the ground. His head bounced off the ground like a basketball, did Matthew Dellavedova. And I'll tell you what, before game two, Shaq didn't even know how to pronounce Dellavedova. I thought it was such bad broadcasting before the game. If you noticed it before game two, he goes, well, Kyrie's not going to play, and Matthew Dellavedova, whatever his name is, I don't even know how to say his name. Well, then how can you analyze his play if you don't even know the man's name? But they sure knew his name after game three, and they knew that he's the dirtiest player in the game right now, and I love it. Ric Flair somewhere was doing flips saying, hey, that's my gimmick, brother. But Delly is not a dirty player at all. And I thought it was amazing listening to those idiots on TV, those talking heads, Stephen A. Smith. They talk out both sides of their mouth, you know. Meanwhile, half of them are worried about where Ray Rice is going to play football again, or people being unfair to Adrian Peterson and all this other stuff. Yeah, and then Delly got a technical, which nobody has made a good explanation yet. I figure if you're going to say he got a tech for talking trash, okay. But they tried to say he got a tech because he fell backwards into Horford's knee and his shoulder head area hit the lower body. And I'm like, so you can get a technical for being pushed down backwards and landing into somebody else? They didn't have an explanation. They didn't know why they teed him up. I think they just assumed that he must have been causing something for the elbow to come down. But anyways, the Hawks are losing their composure, as you're seeing here. The guys are getting hurt, coming up lame. They're getting their steam blown off. I mean, the Hawks still stunned, trying to figure out what the hell happened when we hit the Eastern Conference Finals. And it's the difference of two good teams met. One is a great team with a bunch of role players. One is a great team with a bunch of role players and people individually that are able to take over the game. And when you put that together, plus the Cavaliers are just a better team. Tried to say that heading into this thing. Some people from Atlanta disagreed. Hell, some people from Cleveland disagreed with me. But brother, This matchup did not work for the Hawks. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to say the same thing again. I'm not saying they're going to sweep them or anything like that, but I don't fear the Golden State Warriors matchups against the Cavaliers anywhere near as much as the national media does. Now, Steph Curry can ball. I will give you that all day. Draymond Green, love his game. A lot of players. Klay Thompson, they've got some great players on the Golden State Warriors, but I don't think the Warriors have dealt with the defense that they're going to face like the Cavaliers. The Cavaliers, what they do best is take away what you do best. And I don't think that the Golden State Warriors' second best game plan is anywhere going to be near good enough to beat the Cavs. Do you know what I mean? Because when you take away what a team does best, then whatever they do next is their game plan. Well, whatever next is for the Warriors, it's not going to be enough. And that's for another time. We'll talk about it. Both teams got to get there. Right now, Warriors are now hanging to a 3-1 lead in that series as they head back to Golden State. But we'll talk about all of that, and the Cavs will pick it up right there. NBA playoffs. When we come back, we're still talking Tribe and more. And I want to talk to you. Phones open again, 216-539-7535. 216-539-7535. We'll be right back after this and the news coming up here on the Sports Fix.
The Sports Fix, the show that asks the question,
what you talking about, Lou? What you talking about, Lou? What you talking about? What you talking about? What you talking about, Lou? What you talking about? What you talking about, Lou? What you talking about? What you talking about, Lou?
We'll be right back.
Hey guys, before we go to the break, I want to talk to you a little bit again about our good friends at Harry Buffalo North Olmsted, the UFC, the Ultimate Fighting Championships, some of the hottest fights in the world today. Each and every one of their huge events, Harry Buffalo is one of the few places in Northeast Ohio you can go there and watch each and every UFC fight at the Harry Buffalo. And let me tell you, I've been there. The people are out the door. They are to the rafters. It is one of the craziest environments for some UFC fights. Wing Mondays, they've got great deals on wings and drinks, and every day of the week there's a different special, a different deal. And don't forget the Bison Burger, the unbelievable. It is the combination of a fantastic burger and eating healthy combined into one unbelievable sandwich. You have got to get a Bison Burger while you're there. So whatever you're looking for, whatever day of the week, Monday through Friday, Saturday, Sundays, there's something for you at the Harry Buffalo North Olmsted, just outside Great Northern Mall. Check them out today. Harry Buffalo, join the herd.
Hello, Cleveland. This is WWE Hall of Famer Mick Foley, and you are listening to the Sports Fix. Yeah.
I'm Little Teapot, short and stout.
Here is my handle, and here is my spout.
No, Dad, like this. When I get all steamed up, then I shout, tip me over and
pour me out. This is WWE superstar Roman Reigns. The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today.
Visit fatherhood.gov, brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Fantasy sports lovers, you put so much time, hard work, and effort into playing week to week that it quickly stops being a fantasy and starts getting real. And when the smoke clears, you want to show off those victories with a real prize.
I mean, a really real prize.
Nobody does that like Fantasy Jocks. The crew over at Fantasy Jocks have beautiful, high-quality, and heavy-duty championship belts, rings, trophies, and so much more for all your fantasy sports needs. There's literally only one place to go. FantasyJocks.com.
Whether it's an oil change or a new set of tires, Quick Lane at Valley Ford Truck has you covered for your car care needs. They're your neighborhood quick service experts. They also offer a low price tire guarantee. Choose from 13 brands, and if you find the same tires at a lower price within 30 days, Quick Lane at Valley Ford will refund the difference. 5715 Canal Road, right under the 480 bridge in Valley View. Come see why life is better in the Quick Lane. QuickLane.com/Valley Ford Truck.
Portions of the Sports Fix brought to you by Harry Buffalo. Harry Buffalo, join the herd.
News break.
Good morning, I'm Bob Picozzi. On a scale of 1 to 10 on the scare meter, this was an 11. But NBA MVP Steph Curry was okay after a frightening fall on his head during Golden State's 128-115 loss in Houston in Game 4 of the NBA Western Finals. The Warriors lead the series 3-1. After going through a concussion protocol, Curry was back on the floor in the third quarter.
Once I got back to the locker room and kind of gathered myself, I kind of understood what was going on, and there was a chance I could get back out there once I went through all the tests the doctors wanted me to do, and that's what happened.
James Harden scored 45 points for the Rockets, who stay alive. Game 5 will be tomorrow night in Oakland, 9 Eastern Time Wednesday on ESPN TV and 8 o'clock on ESPN Radio. The Cavaliers can advance to the NBA Finals for the first time in 8 years tonight if they beat the Hawks in Game 4 in the Eastern Finals. 7:30 Eastern Time on ESPN Radio. Cleveland leads that one 3-0. Matt Bolesky's goal 45 seconds into overtime gave the Ducks a 4-3 win over the Blackhawks last night. Anaheim leads the Stanley Cup Western Finals 3-2. First round at the French Open today, 6-seeded Rafael Nadal defeated Quentin Ali 6-3, 6-3, 6-4.
This summer, Johnsonville reminds everyone to get their sausage family together to enjoy some plump, juicy brats around the grill. Because at Johnsonville, we don't make sausage, we make family and sausage.
You're listening to the Sports Fix.
Welcome back to the Sports Fix. Yeah, we're full of crazy feelings some people don't understand, baby. We are feeling good today. Flying high, little Ozzy in the background. J-Rocc back with you in the foreground, and I'm going to go back to the phones and get you in on the conversation as well, as we're back with the Sports Fix here, a Tuesday edition, and the Cavaliers tonight, as you heard in the update, Game 4 coming up, a chance to wrap things up against the Atlanta Hawks. The Golden State Warriors had the same situation last night, weren't able to close out, but boy, they came close after being blown out of the building. They did. They made a run of it. Matter of fact, of all the teams in NBA history, no team has ever come back from a 3-0 lead in a series, for anybody that hasn't heard that stat. But here's something interesting. The Houston Rockets last night, with their victory, of all the teams that have been in, and I can't find the total number, but of all the teams that have been down 3-0 in the NBA playoffs in a best of 7, 64 have won at least one game being down 3-0. So check this out. Of those 64 teams, 48, the largest number of them, won Game 4 and saved themselves elimination and made it a 3-1 series. So what Houston did last night, what Atlanta's trying to do tonight, 48 teams have done that here, won Game 4 to stave off elimination. For perspective, Game 5, only 13 teams of those teams have gone on to win Game 5 and make it a 3-2 series. And only 3 teams in NBA history have ever won 3 straight games while they were down 3-0 to make it a Game 7. And no team has won that Game 7. But only 3 teams in NBA history in a 7-game series have won 3 in a row when down 3-0 to even force that Game 7. Somebody, you know what? James Harden had a great quote after the game. He said, somebody has to be the first team to do it. And really, that's the only way you can look at it. And if nothing else, the Rockets can say they just did 3 in a row once before. Now, 4 in a row is a little bit different, but they did just do 3 in a row in improbable fashion, the way they did it against the Clippers in that last series. So if nothing else, they're alive to fight another day, and that series will continue. Cavs hoping to avoid the same fate happening here, because the more you play, the more guys. I mean, look, LeBron he said it. There's nothing on me that doesn't hurt, whether it's the back, whether it's the calf, whether it's the knee, the ankle. We've watched him roll those ankles twice in this series alone here. We've seen him. Talked about Shumpert. I mean, he's really more hurt than people say. Kyrie Irving missing 2 and 3 here, and game time decision again for Game 4. Everybody at this point is lying to you if they tell you that they're not hurt in any of these teams, any of these players that are left. So this will be a good break here if the Cavs can end it tonight. You don't worry about at this point. There is not too much rest. You'll take that break. The Cavs will quickly pick it up, as we've seen. It only takes them about a half of a game to start making those adjustments and getting themselves back into playoff mode. This is what they need, is an opportunity here. And if it's the Warriors too, for both teams to rest and get themselves healed up, because you will be looking at a marquee matchup as far as the media goes. And can you imagine a 10-day? This will be a Super Bowl level pregame build for Game 1, because you'll have such a long lead up to game. Because what is it? June 4th is next Thursday, so that's a week from this Thursday. So it's exactly 10 days from today the NBA Finals will tip off, and that is locked in stone, I believe, no matter how long these series go. So that's what we're looking at here, is next Thursday with a tip-off, and there will be a long Super Bowl-esque build-up to that thing to see to get the media all hyped up and the frenzy going, and it will. You'll have the former MVP, the current MVP, all of that stuff, the Cleveland story, all of the different things, the Warriors, 2 teams that haven't been there, haven't done it in forever or never, and all of those storylines. For that reason, it'll be great drama, and with 10 days to build it up, you could have one of the highest rated NBA Finals of all time. Will it be one of the greatest? We'll find out. But Cavaliers can get one step closer tonight. I'll keep talking about that in a minute. We are previewing Game 4. We've got a lot of stuff. We'll talk some Tribe too, but I want to go back to you guys. Caller 216-539-7535, by the way, is the number. Facebook.com/TheSportsFix. Tweet with us at TheSportsFixCLE. I'm J-Rocc, and you are on the phones next. Caller, what's your name and where you from?
Hey, good morning, J-Rocc.
Hey, it's Bruce.
Yes.
What's up, Bruce?
Yeah, a couple of things. First
Bruce,
thing this morning,
you're real muffled. Is there something on your end?
Might be.
There you go.
Okay. First thing,
nope.
The Cavs are on the cover of Sports Illustrated.
Yeah, you're really hard to hear again.
Okay. Is that better?
No.
Okay. I'm on the cell phone, so I'll
turn you way up. There you go. Try it again.
All right. Cavs are on the cover of Sports Illustrated.
Oh,
so we know that the...
oh, really? When did this happen?
Yeah.
I missed it.
This week's edition.
Oh, like they didn't get us enough? Come on, man. The Indians have spent 6.5 weeks digging out of the whole Sports Illustrated cover thing. Now you're going to put the Cavs on. No wonder LeBron almost got crippled in Game 3, man. Was that right? Yeah, man. Are you serious? Great, man.
Yeah, it says my team, my town. LeBron on the cover.
You know what? So, hell with it. If there's anybody that can break the Sports Illustrated jinx, it's him. Because I will say this. He is built out of stone when it comes to getting hurt. I have to say that, man. He just, I think back to that Pero Antic, that the shot that he gave LeBron. It was a Game 2 when he just, it was a wrestling move, man. He double hand chopped him in the air and sent him flying. And he just gets up. LeBron just takes a full fall and gets up. And when you see like Curry, the fall that he took last night, it does give you some appreciation to that. That was nuts because they go to the commercial break and he wasn't moving. I mean, I was like, wow, because he did a full flip and it landed. You saw the back of his head hit on. I was shocked that he was able to clear the protocol and get back out there because I thought for sure he was done for the game.
Well, since, that happened last night, Bill Graham was a friend of ours, had the best quote. He said, when did Vince McMahon buy into the NBA?
I'm telling you, man. But
since the playoffs had started, we've had arm bars, we've had face slaps, we've had, knees taken out. We had a forearm smash to the neck. And last night we had a backflip with a guy landed on the hardwood,
And, I'm all about physical playoff basketball. I like that it gets more physical and everything's more important and more high pressure. I love that aspect of everything. But there's something to be said for what you just said when you look at the level of the series. Because to me, and if I'm the NBA in general, when this summer comes, I'm looking at this playoffs for that very reason and figuring out how we can legislate this better without taking the playoff level out of it, because I do want there to be another level. I think we all agree that these games are what they are because these teams take it to another level. When they're down 10 points, they make a run and come back, and you're just like, man, these teams are great. But the NBA is all about their star players. These are the players that the fans want to see. These are the players that got you to the playoffs. Every team, it's star players, it's key guys. It's not just role players. It's big guys on every team that have been whittled away by attrition. Some of them are fluke accidents, but when it's arm bars, when it's elbows to the head, when it's things like that are taking guys out of games and stuff, you've got to legislate that better because you want your best players in the playoffs. You want the fans to see the teams at their best, at the players at their best. You want them to see basketball at its highest level. So I do believe that the NBA, they're not going to change a bunch of rules or anything, but I do believe that they're going to tighten up the officiating in the playoffs, and the thing is finding a balance between not turning it into a foul throw contest, because if you do that, if you turn it into too much, then teams are just doing hack-a-shack in the playoffs, and nobody wants to see that. They were doing that with DeAndre Jordan over in the Clippers series, but you do have to legislate it better because it got into the Wild West, and it's not just the Cavs, it's all around. When the MVP of the league is flipping in the air and landing like that, I mean, you do have to wonder, is there a way to rein it in? Maybe not. Maybe somebody will tell me, hey, J-Rocc, that's playoff basketball, but I disagree. You know, Kelly Olynyk was not playoff basketball. That was, we're getting swept. How can I hurt the Cavaliers going forward because we're frustrated? You know, Al Horford was not a playoff elbow that he was throwing. That was, I'm sick of this little scrappy dude getting in my way and hustling and making me look bad, because that's part of it too, is when guys are throwing themselves on the floor, the players standing around watching look bad because here's guys diving on the floor for balls, and that's part of the problem that guys have with Delly too. Maybe he could jump through the roof of the gym, but he can't, and that's what frustrates people about him. But there ain't a dirty bone in that boy's body, and I think it's nuts.
No, without a doubt.
Come on, man. They pulled him down backwards. He hit the guy without looking. He never even knew who he ran into. He just got pulled down backwards, and they're going, well, you know, I'm not saying it's a dirty play, but maybe it's a dirty play. He didn't know. He got pulled to the ground. People act like he turned around like this is the WWE. Like he said, let me find somebody's knee, and he just dove and took it out, you know? Come on.
No. And the play that got me, on that same play, the part that got me was JJ. When he was dribbling the ball, all of a sudden he picked it up and he looked and he pointed at the ref. He said, did you see that? You know, and it was like he didn't run over there. He didn't do anything. He just kind of stood there and pointed out, like, did you see that elbow smash, or was it just me, you know?
I mean, come on, man. And then they're arguing that Horford shouldn't have been thrown out of the game because he pulled up at the end of the elbow. And I'm like, come on, man. If he throws a punch,
okay, now,
you know, it doesn't matter if you hit it or not.
To my next point. After that happened, did you see all the ticky-tack fouls that were called on the Cavs?
Absolutely. Absolutely, I
mean,
did,
it was like you knew that there was going to be a foul as soon as somebody drove in the lane.
And there was some bad ones.
You could almost call it.
You could see they were getting frustrated. There was a ton of offensive fouls called against the Cavaliers, and it honestly seemed to me like that whole narrative of the like it's like they were looking for the Cavs, like the Cavs are out here playing dirty or whatever. And I completely disagree. These teams are mad. People watching the Cavs are mad because it's not LeBron scoring 50 points and everybody else going along for the ride. Yes, LeBron is the icing on the cake, and he is what puts the Cavs over the top. But people are mad because guys they've never heard of, guys who they couldn't pronounce their name before Game 2, didn't even know how to say Dellavedova. And I don't know if you saw that, but Shaq literally goes, Kyrie's being replaced by Delov, whatever his name is. I don't pay attention to these guys. I don't know who he is. You know, it's like, well, that's your job to know who these guys are. How can you analyze the backup point guard if you don't know his name and how he plays. But anyways, they get mad that guys like Dellavedova, little Australian guy, Tristan Thompson, Canadian guy, these guys that sneak up on them and they're out hustling teams. And I mean, come on, man. The Cavaliers, they wanted it more than Boston. They wanted it more than Chicago. They want it more than Atlanta. They hustled every loose ball. This weekend, Bruce, we watched them in Game 2 especially. They beat Atlanta at home to every rebound, every loose ball, every 50-50 play. Cavaliers just reached out and took it from the Hawks. The same thing they've done to every other team, and it's what they're going to do to the Golden State Warriors. I'm telling you, I honestly believe the Cavs can beat the Warriors in 5. I know somebody right now just had a heart attack and said, tell me he didn't just say that. But I'm just telling you that I can see it. I can see it most definitely, but that's, again, next week's conversation. But
leads me to my next question.
Okay.
Fourth quarter, LeBron, I believe the Cavs still had the ball, but LeBron wanted to tell Blatt to take him out. Did you a second, or I'm sure a lot of people did, thought, oh, here we go again with the cramps, or
Absolutely.
Here we go again with an excuse?
Yes. Absolutely. I have that on my list here of things to talk about on the show. I said that at the beginning of the show. I said, man, when I saw that, that's the first thing that I'm thinking is, man, there we go with remember he was taken out of the finals games and everybody was using that as and I was too, man. I took shots at him for that too. And because what he did last night is what you do in that situation when you just want it more than everybody else. And he that's the first time, I'm telling you, that's the first time he's probably ever reached the level of what he did as far as reaching into himself physically and just asking for more. When I watched him say, bring me out, and then he said, no, forget it.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
Staying in.
Forget it. I don't want to come out.
And I said, boy, and I'm not going to lie, the very first thing that I thought was that was going to hurt the Cavaliers. I said, man, don't be stubborn. Because, hey, if you're hurt, it's like Kyrie playing. If Jeff Teague's blowing by you, then you got to go on the bench and you got to let Delly play because you're hurting the team by defensively not being able to go. So I'm thinking, man, this is the final stretch. Boy, if he's out here limping, and maybe he should have came out for a second, and he took over. I mean, he did he just dug deep and played more. And I said, get the hell out of here, man. That guy said, no, I'm going to find something else. And I'm telling you, this is coming from a guy.
And then he fell to the floor after the game, he was totally mentally and physically exhausted.
This is coming from a guy. And I think that's why what I'm saying has a little more credence, because you're coming from a guy that was far on the opposite end with LeBron. LeBron really had to do a lot to show me a lot of the things that we've seen. And what I saw in Game 3, I wish it had been in the NBA Finals, because that's the only stage that would have made that scene more important, was him collapsing after that game. He had truly given every ounce of energy that he had to get out of that one game. It wasn't even a closeout game. It was Game 3, and he gave it. And that is something that I think before yesterday, or the day before yesterday, I don't think LeBron James knew he had that in him, and he found it. And that's what the great ones do. And I have to give him that all day long.
And that leads to the interview at the end where she said, she was interviewing LeBron, and she said, all your little nagging injuries going to keep you out of Game 4.
He said, hell no.
Said, no way in hell.
No way. Absolutely. And you know what? That says something.
Unless I'm on a stretcher, strapped down, I'll be on that floor.
I know that the Cavs are all about team and all together, but I've noticed everybody keeps talking about playing through injuries and being hurt, and you gotta wonder. I wonder how much of I wonder if there's anything towards Kyrie Irving being out, because the Cavs even changed the way they described it after Game 3, and they made sure to specify that the doctor said that he shouldn't play in the game because that's I think that's kind of interesting, and maybe it's just a coincidence, but LeBron says it after every game. Shumpert says it. Smith says it. They all talk about how you just play hurt, you play through it, and you wonder about that as well. But go ahead.
And how great was it when, after Game 3 or after Game 2,
when
LeBron ran over to Kyrie and said, "I told you I had your back. I told you."
And that's what I'm saying, man. And that's part of where I say, if you can get him healthy again, I mean, think about it. If he doesn't play tonight, which I'm all about, not because I'm trying to save him, it's because I believe that the Cavaliers have already proven that they can beat the Hawks without Kyrie Irving. If he was to sit tonight, by the time you get to June 4th, Kyrie would have sat since Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals, which was, what was the day of Game 1? They started, it was about a week ago. So you would have about 17 or 18 days of rest for Kyrie Irving, something in that area, before he plays another basketball game. And that's almost 3 whole weeks. That is a big difference maker when guys are dealing with their wheels. You could really try to heal him up. The problem is, as we've seen, is that with his legs, it appears that no matter what, and he said this, and it's why it was frustrating, is that they had him feeling better after he took a couple games off, and the first time he got out there and ran on them again, it was like he undid all the work that they did. So this may be the kind of thing that a couple weeks isn't enough, and he's literally going to need a few months of rest and rehab over the summer to get both of his legs healthy. But still, it can't hurt to have him out there, and Delly has shown that he is more than capable of picking up the slack.
Oh, no doubt. And, no, that's, basically what I was going to say was, is he going to hurt the team more by being out there, or is he going to, be able to rest and be ready for the finals?
I mean, here's the thing, Bruce. What do you think? Because people have been arguing with me for 2 days. They go, well, J-Rocc, you got to play him. You got to finish. Forget this saving him for the finals. I agree with you if the Cavs had been in a battle. I mean, if this was a all hands on deck, we're going back and forth, and it took Kyrie and LeBron and everybody to squeak by Atlanta, then yes, you got to play, and you got to play hurt. But they've already proven that they're able to play and beat the Hawks and blow them out. Now, obviously, Game 3, the Hawks brought a fight. I don't think they're going to bring a fight tonight. Now, maybe they will, but there's a difference. Houston was at home for Game 4, so at least they had the home crowd and they got fired up last night. Atlanta's in Cleveland. They've been broken. They're missing one of their top players, missing Corver, and they're frustrated. And I don't think they put up much of a... I think the Cavs can break them in the first quarter tonight. I think if the Cavs go out there and just play defense from the beginning, by the second quarter, we're already looking ahead to the finals.
Yeah, I'm resting Kyrie to the finals.
Why not?
As much as I'd like to have him in there, that game that he did play, it showed that he couldn't drive to the basket.
Yes.
Plus, he was at least 1 or 2 steps slower.
Plus, Delly
I'd give him a rest.
It's not like we're going, well, Delly's not very effective. Like, if Delly was out here having trouble, then you go, well, we need Kyrie. But Delly has stepped his game up so much that you can sit him because you've got a very capable backup. That's the difference in the scenario, is that if Delly was, he's okay, but no, he has been well more than okay. He has filled the gap very, very effectively. For that reason, you can absolutely sit Kyrie Irving because you can and will win without him. You've already done it.
Okay, I got one more thing, J-Rocc. This morning's
whatever
Plain
you
Dealer.
want. We got all day, baby. What's up, Bruce?
Okay, well, the article about LeBron talking about Tristan Thompson.
Oh,
and he
yeah.
said if he has his way, that Tristan would be a Cavalier the rest of his career.
Yes, sir.
And I think to me that's like the ultimate compliment.
Yes, sir.
That he hasn't played with him but this year, and apparently what he's seen was enough to, I guess, impress him. That, hey, this is a guy that, I'd like to go into the war with every time. I'd like to be in the trenches with him.
He should. I mean, Tristan is the man. I mean, you've been a Tristan guy too. Yeah.
But if you hear that from LeBron, then that's like the ultimate compliment, I mean, this is one of the greatest players to play the game. And he thinks, that,
agree.
No matter what, I would, if I was going to go into battle, I'd take you with me.
For sure.
And
sure.
I just thought that was, like the greatest thing that he could actually say to the kid.
And I can definitely see a scenario where Tristan Thompson is a guy that doesn't play anywhere but the Cavaliers. Obviously, you could have said that about a lot of people before, but I could definitely see that type of scenario. He was drafted here, because and I say that because of the personality, because of the type of guy he is, because he's never, even when he gets big money, he's never going to be a superstar as far as the general public. To basketball fans, he'll be very highly regarded and he'll be very highly paid. And to basketball fans, he'll be a superstar. But to the general public, I don't see it. I mean, Dennis Rodman only became that level because he became crazy. But before he started being crazy and driving into book signings and wedding dresses and stuff, he was very obscure to the general public. Tristan Thompson is going to be this generation's Dennis Rodman before Dennis Rodman went completely insane. And he's just so low-key, and he's such a down-to-earth guy that I can totally see him being the kind of guy who enjoys the thought of spending his entire career with one team. So I can absolutely see Tristan. I could see Tristan Thompson and Kyrie. They both were drafted together, and I could see them both spending their entire career together with the Cavaliers, having that Mark Price, Brad Daugherty type run where they go for that whole long run together.
Well, Tristan was a 3-year starter on not very good Cavs teams. Let's put it that way.
And he would have started this year. He would have started this year.
He never cried once when they told him he had to go to the bench, and he'd be coming off the bench. He never cried once.
And think about that,
we were
Bruce.
at the media day when he was running around like a 10-year-old kid interviewing other players.
Well, he does that every media day. He does that every media day.
He's great in the locker room.
But think about this, Bruce.
He is the ultimate team player. If you were going to put looking for a guy to be a team player on your team, that would be one of the first players that you would try to pick.
Exactly. As you said, 3-year starter, and when they went and traded for Kevin Love, he went to the bench for the best of the team, but he did it in a year where he's about to hit free agency. Now it's restricted free agency, but still, he did it in a year where less minutes means less opportunities to put less dollars on the next contract. Now, of course, he's cashing in now with the way that he's stepped up with Kevin Love going out. But that was a big personal sacrifice because you stepped back to being a sixth man and a bench player at a year financially where your statistics would be very important to you. And I thought that speaks volumes for the kid too. And we've seen it.
Yeah.
He's stepped up bigger and bigger, and the sky is the limit for where that kid's going to go. And I've said it for weeks. It's going to take a max contract to keep him. He's not a max contract player, and that's my personal opinion is that you're talking $24 million or whatever the max contract's going to be next year. The reason I say he gets it is somebody's going to offer it to him. Some team with a boatload of cap room that needs to sign somebody. We see it every year. They'll do it. Somebody's going to offer him one of those crazy contracts, and then the Cavs will match it, and it will be close to, if not, a full max contract. And then we have some interesting conversations this summer because Cavs going to have a whole lot of max contract guys, and a couple of them play the same position. So, because to me, it's fine if you want to pay Tristan Thompson a max contract, let's do it. But you don't pay him a max contract to come off the bench. You know what I'm saying? And at that point, we've got too many players for not enough positions making a whole lot of money. But I hope we get to have that conversation after the parade. After the parade, Bruce.
Yes, exactly. Let's not start building statues yet, but, I got the drawing out for LeBron, so. No, honestly, I don't see us losing at all. Golden State can hit some three-pointers if we match up real well with Golden State, though.
Absolutely. Green and Tristan Thompson, that's going to be an incredible battle of hustle guys that are down low doing their thing. But, I think Curry, whether you got Dele on him, Kyrie on him, Shumpert, some combination of the three, that's going to be I think they will be able to keep up. And the difference, you got Klay Thompson. Again, some combination of those three will be there as well. And the difference is on the other side because LeBron,
the key to winning this thing is run Golden State off of the three-point line.
That's
if we can keep off of the three-point line, we can beat them.
if we stick true, if we switch right, if we are constantly able to that's going to be the key. Not getting run through them screens and switching and being able to stay with the guy. If you run them, like you said, run them off those threes, then the Cavs will beat them up and keep them off the boards. That's the other thing where Golden State kills you is they get their rebounds and get second shots at those three-pointers, and they give those shooters, just like the Cavs do, they give those shooters multiple opportunities. That's the other thing, is neutralizing that. If you're going to give them shots, that's cool. Curry's going to hit some, Thompson's going to hit some, nothing you can do, but keep them off the board so that when they miss them, they're only getting one shot at it, and then the Cavs are coming back down the other way. Because as we know, they can close big gaps really good. I mean, seriously, they almost made an epic comeback last night, even though they ended up falling short. I could not believe it.
24 or something like that.
Bruce, I stopped watching it.
And then 7.
I stopped watching it. Yes, I got an update from ESPN on my phone that said Curry back, Warriors rallying, trail by 4 or 6 or something like that. And I'm like, get out of here. And I watched it. And of course, Houston pulled back out. Like I said, Harden had his run. But that's when you go, man, you could be blowing this team out. And, 2-3 timeouts later, you're going, man, it's a one-possession ball game. What just happened? So they're a great team. But I think the Cavs are greater, man.
I have a big problem with the Cavs.
You're breaking up on me, Bruce. Are you in a bad area?
Yeah, it must be. I have a bigger problem with the Cavs winning this in 6. I think it's going to go 6 games. I don't think it'll go 7.
What do you think? Well, we have to get there first. Do you think the Cavs wrap this up in a sweep?
I won't wrap it up tonight, but I'm sure they'll win.
I'm losing you, Bruce. I'm losing you. Yep. Take care, Bruce. Sorry about that, guys. 216-539-7535. 216-539-7535. Get in on the conversation like my man Bruce. What do you think? Do the Cavaliers finish this thing tonight? Sweep it in 4? Golden State, do they wrap it up in 5? Or does that series monkey around a little bit more before the two teams, the marquee matchup that everybody's looking at, heads to the NBA Finals? We'll see. Tonight, Cavaliers. And I'm fired up. I do believe that they sweep this thing tonight. Matter of fact, I want to keep the momentum going of that last phone call. Let's just keep it right up. Caller, you're next up on the Sports Fix. Where are you at with the Cavs and the Hawks here in Game 4?
J-Rocc Daddy, I say the sweep is on, baby. The sweep is on. The sweep is on. Get them brooms out because tonight the sweep is on, baby.
What's up, Larry? LG, my man, how's it going? I agree with you for sure, man. I think that I really think that the Hawks gave everything that they had, and you have to give credit to the fight. Game 2, they were garbage. They were blown out in their own building. But Game 3, they came to Cleveland, and they fought, and that was a very good game. But the Cavaliers, in overtime, even when the Cavs were down, they found a way to suck it up late. I think they were down 4 with, 40 seconds left or whatever it was. LeBron scored that last run of points. They stopped them at the end and were able to finish that thing off. And I just think that that was the best effort that you're going to get from the Atlanta Hawks. And I think Game 4, you never mark it up until it's over with. But I don't see them doing what Houston did because they're not at home.
Here's the only thing I'm a little concerned about, J-Rocc Daddy, is this is a desperate Hawks team. We saw you talk about dirty play. I mean, Delly didn't do anything dirty, man. And
no
for
way.
These guys to sit back and even contemplate that Delly's a dirty player, I'd like to see what would happen if the ball was on the floor and Barkley was going after it or anything like that. You know what I mean? Or
yeah.
Shaq. Shaq would knock people over just standing next to him.
Shaq's not diving for balls either. Let's just keep that in mind. Shaq's not diving for balls to begin with. So
that's why I said he would knock people over just standing next to him. But what I'm going to tell you is this, man. I'm a little concerned that this Hawks is a desperate team, and I'm telling you, I'm a little concerned about what kind of cheap shots they're going to be throwing tonight because, you drop an elbow on a guy who's laying on the floor, and he could say he pulled up all he want, man. I've seen that replay as many times as anybody else did the night that it took place, and there was no pulling up on that, J-Rocc Daddy. I mean, he's a dirty player, right? Right there, it showed you, man. Delly's a tough player. He's a tough guy. He's going after the ball. He's giving 110%. Verge would do the same thing if he was able to physically get out there and play. That's a guy that dove all over the floor, man. That's what you pay these guys for. Hustle and compete with 110% of your abilities to compete. And, Blatt said it best. I mean, this guy's a competitive player. He's going to give his all every time he's on the floor. Delly's not a dirty player. I don't think Delly has it in his heart to go out and injure anybody, J-Rocc. No, but tonight, I'm a little concerned about what kind of Hawks we're going to see if they're going to start throwing some cheap shots. I mean, don't you remember the first what game was it where the guy shoves LeBron in the shoulder there?
Absolutely. I was talking about that earlier in the show. Pero Antic shoved him to the point that he took a very hard fall out in the baseline area there. And because it's LeBron, he gets up and shakes it off. And people don't realize that fall was every bit as hard as the type of fall that Steph Curry took last night.
But I'm just saying, man, this is a desperate team.
Yeah.
And, thank God the Cavs will get some time off to heal up a little bit after, if we do get the win tonight, because I know it's a little premature to count your eggs before they hatch, but the Cavs want to win this game strictly to get the rest as much as everybody wants to see them win this game. And if we saw LeBron James the other night, like Blatt said, that would not allow this team to lose, I could just imagine the LeBron James that we're going to see tonight in Game 4, man.
And seriously, we use cliches and sports talk all the time, but, true leadership is not just saying it, it's doing it. And when you're another player, think about the way you felt as a fan watching this game, or as a broadcaster, announcer, whatever you may be. When you were watching this thing, think of how you feel, and imagine being one of the other 4 players on the court, one of the other 8 players on the bench, one of the people on the Cavaliers team there as part of that. Tell me that does not take you to... That is the explanation of what we're seeing for the Cavs when they look at each other, not just LeBron, but when you see that, when you see a guy shake off coming up. Like, it wasn't like the coach said, hey, come here, and he said no. He put his hand up and said, I gotta come out, and then said, no, I've got more to give. I'm gonna stay out here. At that point, every player looks within themselves and says, what more do I have to give as a team, as a player, as an individual? And this stuff sounds like a speech from a movie like Hoosiers, but it's legit, and it's what this team is doing, and that's true leadership, and you're seeing it there. And I say this is coming from a guy that is definitely had to be. I had to see it to believe it, and not just had to see it, but had to see it over and over again. And now it's undeniable that you are seeing a completely different player, a completely different man in LeBron James. And this Cavaliers team is a team, that's a team of destiny right there, is this Cavaliers team. And they're going to finish what they started. They believe in themselves too much. That's just it. They believe in themselves no matter how much they're down, no matter who gets hurt. They believe, looking around, that we're good enough and he's good enough to be the guy and we're good enough to be with him, and together we're unstoppable. And that's why every night somebody else steps up big, because this team believes in itself. That's just all there is to it.
Well, the greatest leaders in the world, J-Rocc, they all have one thing in common, and they lead by example. Talk is cheap. You can stand on the sidelines all you want and talk this, talk that. You get out there and you actually lead by example. You sacrifice your body. You sacrifice your own personal well-being for the best of the team, the best of the city. That's the LeBron James we're seeing now. Could we have seen that LeBron James 4 years ago in Cleveland? I don't think so, J-Rocc Daddy, because that's the new, mature LeBron James. Don't forget, folks, a lot of people, they were mad, LeBron left, LeBron did it. It was a 19-year-old kid that came to the Cleveland Cavaliers, no college basketball experience, comes straight out of high school, J-Rocc, a mega star in the making. Obviously, he set up himself for a fantastic NBA career. He had to leave. He grew up a lot. You can see it by the way that he came back to Cleveland, by the speech that you play over and over and over again on the Sports Fix show about how he's going to bring this to the people of Cleveland. And this This may mean more to LeBron James than any championship ring he won with the Miami Heat, J-Rocc Daddy. And I'm not saying we got the rings in the basket yet, because obviously we got to get through this series. Then we got to get through the whoever wins between Golden State. I have a feeling it's going to be Golden State, and the Rockets are just about done. But they surprised a lot of people last night and didn't get blown out. So who knows? I mean, can lightning strike twice in the same spot? I don't think so. But I'm not counting out the Rockets until every last game has been played, and the record is what it is, and it speaks for itself. But LeBron James potentially could have this championship, if we do indeed win a championship, J-Rocc Daddy, this year, mean more to him than any other championship ring in his collection, man. What's your thought on that, J-Rocc Daddy?
I absolutely agree, and I can't say it any better than that. It should mean more. And this, if the Cavaliers were to finish this, to me, this really rewrites a big part of LeBron James' legacy. Not just because he came back to Cleveland and won, but you'll always have people, myself included, that take some of the credit away from what they did in Miami because of the way they did it and how they pulled this talent together and tried to make a move on the league and whatever. Everybody's got their opinions. I wasn't a fan of that, and I thought it was the easy way out. I truly believe that what he did for 4 years in Miami was the easy way to a championship, and you'll never convince me otherwise. This is not that. This is the opposite. This is, maybe I don't want to go where some people did. This wasn't starting from scratch because the Cavs had pieces in place. They had all the maneuvering ability to make the trades. They had Kyrie Irving. They had Tristan. They had what turned into this team. So they needed a catalyst, and that catalyst was obviously LeBron James coming home that enabled everything else to be set into motion. But it was a hard task, and it was definitely not putting together a super team, although I thought, and it was one of the reasons that I wasn't a fan of the Kevin Love trade, is I thought that kind of put the super team feel to it again with basically trying to repeat what he did in Miami here and stack the deck a bit. I know we didn't mind it because it was stacking the deck for us here in Cleveland, but I did kind of feel that way. That went away as this season played out the way it did, and particularly heading into the playoffs. Once you lose Kevin Love, once Kyrie Irving starts going down, once one piece after another has an issue, has an injury, has J.R. Smith getting suspended, all of these different things that we've seen. I mean, this was a journey. This was work. This was what you mean when you say instead of taking the easy way, you take the hard way. This was the hard way to a championship, and if they finish it, not only should this be at the front of LeBron's trophy case because he won it in Cleveland for his hometown and all of that stuff, but it should be at the front of his trophy case because this was the first championship that I believe he can truly sit down and feel like this was 100% earned, and nobody will ever be able to discredit this one. And so I agree. This one means more than anything.
Not only will they not be able to discredit this one, and I know what you're talking about, we're not starting from zero. We had some key personnel in place, but the moves Griffin made this year and some of the, I just don't even think with LeBron James playing as great as he's playing, could have won a championship without the Cavaliers team being changed, because I think if you look back at some of the guys, Dion Waiters, that's not here anymore, you look back at some of these egos themselves that may not have mixed well on this Cleveland Cavaliers team. And some of those guys, J-Rocc Daddy, I'm sorry that we've seen them go, but I'm just wondering if there was any kind of an ego problem that may not have gelled. This team is the blue-collar working man's Cleveland Cavaliers basketball team, and the city of Cleveland was always one of the greatest blue-collar towns in all of America. If you go back through the heritage of Cleveland and how the blue-collar working man paid for everything, worked hard for everything, this was a manufacturing city that was number one in the nation in manufacturing machinery, automobile parts, you name it, Cleveland manufactured it, and now we have a true blue-collar working Cleveland Cavaliers basketball team, as you said, with the guys coming off the bench, the guys that have to step up, Deli, Smith, what's the other guy's name? Who's the other guy, Jay? Shumpert's a fantastic ball, but the other guy, the other little guy, what's his name? Oh my God, Jones.
Oh, absolutely.
He gets out there and contributes a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But that's the true meaning of a blue-collar basketball team in a blue-collar town, J-Rocc Daddy. And I got to tell you something, man. I'm a little bit surprised at the success that this Cleveland Cavaliers team's having. I'm not surprised that they're going to have success because obviously I knew they would, but I just never thought that we were going to see it in the first season with LeBron James back because, you know, getting your timing, getting your things down with guys like Tristan Thompson, guys like Kyrie Irving. But when you lead by example, you elevated those guys, man. And when those guys see you pouring your blood, sweat, and tears into this job that is at hand right now, those guys are going to pour their blood, sweat, and tears into that job as well, J-Rocc.
Absolutely. I agree with everything you said. And let's just I want to throw this in here as the topper of this before we call it here. The LeBron James, I don't know if people know this or not, but in this series, through the first 3 games, heading into Game 4 tonight against Atlanta, LeBron averaging 32.5 points, 11.5 rebounds, 10 assists per game. If he ends up with that type of game again tonight, and it's of course, you know, up in the air. He basically, let's see, looking at 32. Yeah,
I would say this, J-Rocc.
Well, here's the thing:
you don't see
if
Kyrie
he finishes, well, I'm just going to say, if he finishes with this stat line, he will be the first player in NBA history to average a 30-10-10 triple-double. He will have averaged, if he, of course, stays above that in this game, he'll be the first player ever in the NBA playoffs to average 30, 10, and 10 in a playoff series for the entire series. That's nuts.
Well, let me tell you one thing, J-Rocc Daddy. I would say if you don't see Kyrie Irving suited up tonight, which I don't think is a bad idea not to suit him up, but let's just say he's on a sideline, you can almost guarantee you're going to see the same kind of offensive rebounds and everything else coming from LeBron James tonight as you saw the other night in the third game, man, because he's going to have to step up his game. He's the main offensive weapon of this Cleveland Cavs basketball team. J.R. Smith and Delhi and guys like that, Tristan Thompson, Mozgov, those guys are all compliments to LeBron James leading this team. Those are compliments. They complement LeBron's game, and when he can feed him the ball and he can get his assists and do what he does the best at passing the ball to other players, you know. And there was a couple of possessions LeBron actually didn't do as well as he wanted to do. So just think if he guards against the steal tonight or whatever, doesn't have any turnovers. If he can limit the turnovers, we could see potentially his best game in this 4-game series coming out tonight here at the Q, man. I really think that's what we're going to see, man.
Me too. I'm ready for it. LG, my man. Anything else
I'll
before
tell you
we...
one more thing. You know what? We probably should consider the Cleveland Browns can learn a few things from this lesson. Maybe they should send Manziel packing for a couple of years and have him come back 4 years later.
I knew LG had to find a way to work that into the conversation, man.
You got to admit, it worked with LeBron. Maybe this kid needs, you know, some time away from home like LeBron did, and he'll come back as a more mature player. Who knows, J-Rocc Daddy? But
I'll tell you
hey,
what.
All I got to say, J-Rocc Daddy, is you have a great day, have a great rest of your show, and go Cavs, baby.
You got it. Great call, LG. And, you know, hey, think about it. A year ago at this point, guys, nobody was, Cavs were, you know, everybody was looking at OTAs and the first looks at Johnny Football, and everybody was worried about nonsense, and nobody's even paying attention to the fact that the Browns are working out this week, as it should be. I mean, who cares? They're lifting weights and throwing footballs in shorts at the end of May. But last year, it was a feeding frenzy for the first OTAs of Johnny Football, and it feels good to have something else to keep your mind on, like these NBA players. Speaking of, hey, she just sent me something on Facebook. I had some fun the other day talking about watching these games over the weekend. I was hanging out with our girl, Cleveland's own Jessica Evil Eye, getting ready to knock Misha Tate out in Chicago coming up, by the way. I'm doing some fun stuff with her, but we were watching the game over the weekend here. Had some fun, man, and representing Cleveland, baby. Jessica I, J-Rocc, the Sports Fix, the Cavaliers. It's a good time to be from Cleveland. The Indians, too. I know they dropped one yesterday, but they had a hell of a weekend as well. Swept them Red Legs right out of town. Let's take the final break. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit about the Indians weekend and set the stage. They're playing tonight, Cavs playing tonight, and more. Final segment of the Fix. Don't go anywhere. Still plenty more coming up next.
When it comes to Cleveland sports, we go from
can't touch this
to
I can't watch this.
So listen to the Fix. It's easier on the eyes.
Guys, want to take just a second as we head into this break and remind you about the official business printing source of the Sports Fix, our friends at Signs and Ship. Signs and Ship, I'm telling you, Chris and Pam, they've taken care of me since day one, and they can do the same for you. Whether you're a small business that's already been established and you're looking to grow to that next level and expand your business, or perhaps you've got an idea that you just know is going to be a great business and you need to figure out how to brand it and how to promote it and put it out there, Signs and Ship is the place for you. If you need a logo, they can create one for you. They have a fantastic graphic designer. Business cards, signs, banners, yard signs, mobile advertising, anything you can think of that you need to promote your business, they've got it at Signs and Ship. The best thing about them, too, is each of their locations, whether it's the home base here in Elyria, Ohio that I work with, or their spots in Virginia, Florida, and Pennsylvania, it's all local sourced. Very important to me because we all understand that small business is the lifeblood of the community. So check them out, signsandship.com, or call Chris and Pam today, 440-323-6060, the home office in Elyria, Ohio. Signs and Ship, quality printing at affordable prices.
Portions of the Sports Fix brought to you by Fantasy Jocks. Looking to upgrade your league trophy? Check out fantasyjocks.com for championship belts, rings, trophies, and more. Fantasy sports lovers, you put so much time, hard work, and effort into playing week to week that it quickly stops being a fantasy and starts getting real. Real time spent making real decisions, creating real victory.
I'm the greatest man in the world!
And when the smoke clears, you want to show off those victories with a real prize.
I mean, a really real prize.
Nobody does that like Fantasy Jocks. The crew over at Fantasy Jocks have beautiful, high-quality, and heavy-duty championship belts, rings, trophies, and so much more for all your fantasy sports needs.
The trophy's 12 feet high, and it is glorious!
Football, baseball, hoops, you name it, they have it. Plus, they have awesome draft kits and party supplies to make all your preseason activities the envy of everyone. If your league needs a ring, belt, or trophy, or you want to upgrade what you already have, there's literally only one place to go. If you're going to be a fantasy jock, do it right.
It's mine, the most magnificent belt ever created, and it's mine.
With America's fantasy sports superstore, fantasyjocks.com. Sports Fix listeners, like us on Facebook today. Facebook.com/The Sports Fix.
Hey, everybody, listen up.
Listen up, guys.
Hey, guys, listen up. No one should ever hit a woman.
Not their wife, not their girlfriend, not their date. No woman should have to fear violence.
Especially not from someone they know and trust.
But that's the reality for too many women.
We have to change it.
It's up to each of us, because even one is too many.
Violence against women hurts all of us. Growing up, I was ashamed and afraid of my father when he abused my mom.
The worst abuse of power is when a man raises his hand to hurt a woman. We all have to take responsibility. So if you see someone threatening a woman, step up, speak out, and get help.
Dating violence hurts all of us. So step up and help end it. Because one is too many.
One is too many.
One is too many.
One is too many.
End the violence. Because it's wrong.
Because one is too many.
Hey, this is Antoine Jameson, and you listen to the Sports Fix.
Everybody was kung fu fighting.
Welcome back to the Sports Fix Live. J-Rocc back with you here. Man, talk about full circle. I'll tell you a funny story, man. That liner right before we came back from the break with Anton Jameson, and what a great guy he is, too. One of the first guys to sit down with me and talk with me and stuff when I started getting my locker room access and all of that, doing the thing, and the journey was young for me and all that stuff. But that night, I just heard that. This is Anton Jameson. You're listening to the Sports Fix. I remember the night that we recorded that. It was the first season post LeBron, and he was in a situation that he did not anticipate being in for sure. And I remember that night. It was in the middle of that terrible losing streak that the Cavs were on, and it was just the beginning of the depths of where we were going in the post-LeBron era. And it's funny to hear that. I heard it, and I literally was thrown back to the place we were standing in the locker room. I mean, I literally remember standing there looking at his knees because they're all so tall and going, boy, there's some giant trees in this son of a gun. But anyways, he was very cool, and that was the first time that I sat down. And again, he was really cool breaking me in there. But I remember that night how bad things were for the Cavs, and I remember being back there the first time LeBron came back and all of those different things. But anyways, long way we've come since that night to where we sit tonight as the Cavs sit on. They got a little kung fu fighting in the background. Cavs and the Hawks, they've been kung fu fighting. Everybody has throughout the NBA playoffs. Cavs up 3-0 and looking to finish things off against the Hawks here tonight. And will it happen? I don't know. We're going to talk about it tomorrow. Dan Wismar will join me and get in on that conversation as well. But I believe the Cavs finish it off here tonight. I don't see any fight left in the Hawks, but we'll see about that. I say, you can go look at Houston last night. I say they were at home. To me, that's the backside of that I don't see. I just think the Hawks are injured, frustrated, broken. The only thing I worry about is that it doesn't get so crazy physical that we end up paying a price that carries over out of the finals and into the NBA finals. But Indians, hey, by the way, I want to talk a little bit more about the Tribe over the weekend. Yesterday, I mean, you had a rare instance of two teams coming in red hot, both on 7-game winning streaks. Indians ends in that tough loss. After you fight your way back, down 3-0. Come back, you're up 5-3, down 7-5, come back, you're up 8-7, and for it to be thrown away literally and figuratively the way it was kind of stunk, but Tribe has still won 8 of 11. Texas now has a 7-game winning streak heading into that one here today. Yesterday, Santana and Perez got loose with some home runs. Kipnis, Ramirez, Bourne, and Brantley chipped in RBIs. Kipnis continuing his red-hot month of May. In May, with 6 games left, he's at the old 447 batting average. 59 times in 113 plate appearances, he's reached base. A disgusting 522 on-base percentage. That means, for those of you not initiated into such a thing, more than 50% of the time, your leadoff hitter's getting on base. That is right where you want to be. Brantley, 1 for 4 with that RBI double yesterday, also had a walk. He's batting .315 so far on the season. Tribe offense warming up. The pitching, as we saw with that sweep of the Reds, the starting pitching was out there. A very good series. The Indians in that 6-game double, it was a 4-game series with the White Sox, so it wasn't a back-to-back sweep, but winning the final 3 against the White Sox and the sweep of the Reds, Tribe 26-12 outscored Chicago and Cincinnati in that one. The starting pitching really stepped up. Bauer, he's got a 1.19 ERA over his last 3 starts, 21 strikeouts in that run there. The day before that, the Indians won a very good 2-1 game. Kluber with just a dominant performance. Boy, is the Klubot back or what? His last 3 starts now. He's followed up the 18 and the 12 with another 7. He's gone 2-0 in his last 3 starts with a .72 ERA, 2 runs in 25 innings, 37 Ks and just 1 walk. He's gone 8 innings twice and 9 innings once in that stretch. Opponents are batting 176 against Corey Kluber in the last 3 games. Safe to say the tough start to the season has been shaken off by Corey Kluber. And Danny Salazar, he goes back out tonight for the Tribe, actually. He started that series against the Reds with a good one there. Tribe took that one 7-3 and got the weekend off to a good start. Salazar went to 5-1 on the victory. And I'll tell you what, Carrasco was the one that went. I'm sorry, he tied Salazar with his 5th victory of the season. Yeah, that was Carrasco that went in that one. It was Salazar that went against Chicago the night before, setting him up here, coming off of a good performance for him. And tonight, the Indians, matter of fact, Wandy Rodriguez is on the mound for the Texas Rangers tonight. Last time Tribe went against him, they did pretty well and were able to get loose. I think Nick Swisher is actually batting very well historically and earlier on this season, the previous meeting against Rodriguez. So Indians looking to follow up that success, knock the 7-game winning streak off for the Texas Rangers and get themselves back on it. Rodriguez and tonight goes against Danny Salazar. As I said, Rodriguez 2-2, 3.38 ERA. Salazar 5-1 with a 3.50 ERA for the Indians. As we mentioned yesterday, Santana had a home run. Perez, Prince Fielder, he's been hot against the Indians so far this season and in general. This year, he's 7 for 18 against the Tribe, 2 home runs. And he had a big one there yesterday as well. He's leading the entire American League. Clearly, the injury issues are behind Prince Fielder. He's batting .365 so far on the young season. And as I said, 7 of 18 here against the Indians. Swisher, as I mentioned, doing well against Wandy Rodriguez. The Indians looking at Salazar on the mound. Adrian Beltre was 4 for 4 against him earlier. And Sin Chu Chu and Tommy Field also have home runs against Salazar this season. Should be some fun tonight at the corner of Progressive in Ontario. Carnegie in Ontario, Progressive Field. And that's what I get for one of those Freudian slips. I'm looking ahead of me at the screen and I'm reading what's on the screen and not what's coming out of my mouth. Progressive Field. Tonight, 7:10, first pitch for the Indians and the Rangers. And then, just about an hour after that, 8:30, first tip for the Cavs and the Hawks. And tonight should be one of those good nights with some decent weather, 2 hot games going on. Sunday was cool, but Sunday was an afternoon Tribe game and an evening Cavaliers clash. Today, you've got both at the same time. Should be a madhouse atmosphere downtown. Businesses should make some dough. Fans should have some fun. If you guys are getting out there, have some fun as well. Be careful and enjoy it. Cavaliers, 8:30, first tip, looking to finish off the Atlanta Hawks and clinch their first trip back to the NBA Finals since 2007 and second overall trip as well. Tons of things to get into. You know what? Tomorrow we'll pick back up where we left off. How about Ray McDonald? I'll get into it more tomorrow, but Ray McDonald, when are they going to throw this guy out of the league? All the stuff he got into in San Francisco and domestic violence and everything else, and now he goes and signs with the Bears, and another instance, this one involving his child, and details still sketchy, but that's the kind of guy that there's just no place in the league for. You make an example on a guy like that and say you have forfeited your right to make a living playing a game of football. Go get a real job, brother. Ray McDonald, what a piece of work there. We'll talk some more about that tomorrow. Dan Wismar is going to join us. We'll be talking Cavs, Hawks, Game 4. Is there a Game 5, or are we looking ahead to June 4 and the start of the NBA Finals? Did the Tribe take care of business tonight, or are they going to be on a 2-game losing streak when we come in here tomorrow? Dan Wismar, as I said, talks about all of that and more. Dan from EverybodyHatesCleveland.com, here every Wednesday. Tomorrow, no different. You guys, be here as well for a Hump Day edition of the Sports Fix. Good getting back with you after the holiday weekend. Thanks for the phone calls. You guys kept the lines rolling all day long, and I can't wait to do it again tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel, live at noon, baby. Right here across the Sports Fix Radio Network. We'll see you tomorrow. You know the deal. Looking forward to it. Go Cavs, go Tribe, go Cleveland, and wherever you are, we'll see you tomorrow right here on The Fix.
From that terminal, you can see the lake from here. Faith in my teams, we keep getting closer every year. But we got the king, though, so hopefully we overcome. Yes, I have a dream, and I know I ain't the only one. Modell tried to steal my heart, but we brought it back. Thanks to Cleveland Clinic, now they call them Kiss the Cardiac. Rock Cars, Science Center, Tower City, all of that. Warehouse District, Euclid Corridor, and all the flat. You know that I'm a Tribes fan, and I love Slimans. Crockett Park's the perfect place for me to spend some time in. Baby, this is Cleveland. It is so much more to us. You can even go to Severance Hall to see an orchestra.
Cleveland,